Hello, everyone. Raven here, and this week is gonna be me trying to hold back my temper. Something that I struggled with when I was younger, had to learn to overcome, defeat. I am gonna have to fight it again today because I just watched a new video Homestead Heritage put out this last week. For those of you who may be new to the channel, because I know this involves a topic that may bring in some people who don't know anything about Homestead, let me explain to you really quick what they are and what this channel is so that you understand the context of what I'm going to be talking about here. Homestead Heritage is a cult in Waco, Texas. Ironically, of all places. That's where they're located, and they've been there since around sometime between 1990 and 1992 is when they really built there. They have been pretty much making themselves out to be just a private Christian community and treating themselves as nothing but a sort of church. However, their teachings have been very deceiving, trying to look Christian, but bringing in lots of other things and being very legalistic, very constraining, very much a cult. That's what I've been doing is I've had multiple friends join this and I've been exposing it because nobody has seen this. Nobody's been talking about this except former members. And they have been pulling people in from churches, dividing churches, really destroying some churches. And in this process, they also did the same where I was. Seeing this happen to my friends, I started looking into them, started seeing more and more contradictions and problems with what they were teaching, what they were doing. And the one thing I've seen more than anything else is hypocrisy. And so today I want to discuss a video they put up recently on their channel Heritage Press about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. What's disgusting about this to me is that within this, Ozzy Adams is treating himself like he's some kind of historical professional. He knows history really well or something, but one thing I'll tell you, their community is very constraining in what you learn. They very much have their own little bubble in which they give their teachings. A lot of what he says about the history of our country seems rather convincing, and to some extent isn't bad, but there are some things he claims in there that he doesn't really give any evidence of. He's really going by assumptions, and there's some problems. But I'll say in general, what he's going after isn't bad. The bad part is what's always the bad part: the hypocrisy. Because what he does in this video is he goes through talking about what freedom is, talking about the freedom that our country brought, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. Now, what he makes it out to be is that the freedom was within your religion, which I would disagree. It was freedom of your own personal beliefs, perspectives, etc. Your freedom of speech, which he does bring up, but doesn't really focus on speech in general, just the speech of the Christian. And what he does with this is he tries to make it sound like Homestead is the place that is free. He starts talking about Homestead Heritage as though this is the kind of community that's going to bring that freedom back. However, as I've shown again and again, they are extremely legalistic. So the hypocrisy of this is insane. Because they are so constraining. So many rules, so many regulations. Used to be, though they've changed this, no coffee, no chocolate. They've changed those rules. Ones they still have, no wedding rings, You don't get to go getting any homes, cars, unless you get permission from the leadership of their community. You have to wear certain kinds of clothes. You can only have certain kinds of hairstyles, etc., etc., etc. And these are not biblical in any way. They're very religious. They're not biblical. The freedom he's talking about is freedom from what he would call the world. However, they're another form of it. Because what they're teaching isn't really Christianity, as I've shown in many videos. And what they're pushing is their own legalism, their own rules, their own perspective on it. And they are taking away what the freedom is really about. You choosing. They choose everything for you. The problem he talks about is partly true because this so-called freedom that is now being brought by a lot of the Democratic Party is not real freedom. It's the constraint of a lot of people that have Christian views. Because it's bringing in this bad teaching of delusions, things that aren't real, and making us accept it, forcing us to believe it, and even trying to get us to promote it. So in that sense, what Ozzy says is correct. However, the problem is, he's not coming after this because he expects that, we're going to fix the American government anyway. No, they're building their own government there in Waco and in other locations they have across the globe. As you can see by what he does later in this video of pointing toward them and what they are and what they're creating and how they have the right model, what he's trying to do is he's trying to make it so they get to restrain you instead of the government restraining you. Let them take away your freedom instead of the government taking away your freedom. The hypocrisy of this is insane. And ultimately, all I see this video as is something I've seen them do many times, but now to a new extreme, which luckily I see is not working out. And that is, I think they're trying to take advantage of this recent occurrence to get attention and look like they're promoting what they're not promoting, look like there's something different than what they really are, and get a better reputation, because right now, their reputation is under a lot of stress and threat. Because things have started coming out more. More people have started talking about it. So I wanted to come today and just give you all a warning. This is going to continue. They don't seem to be done. Just like they changed in the past their rules of no coffee, no chocolate, there are other things they've been getting a little more lenient on, changing a little bit, which shows this isn't really them putting faith in this model. This isn't really them putting faith in their teachings or any of that. This is really them just trying to keep control. This is them doing the same thing so much of the crooked government is doing, of trying to get too much control. And so right now, they're fighting to keep their reputation because they don't want the truth coming out, just like so much of the media is doing right now. You see how bad this hypocrisy is? If you watch what Ozzy does in the video, you'll see there's really not much of anything to it. He doesn't really say much about the assassination attempt. He just sort of mentions it in passing here and there in prayer. One thing he does that's, again, hypocritical is he tries to make it sound like this is good for the country, that it's good that the assassination attempt failed, and yet he points toward the solution being the kind of thing Homestead Heritage is doing, which means it's not going to be what he says it's going to be. This means they're not okay with Trump. They're not okay with the government. They're not okay with any of that. They're just using it to create this new image for themselves. You look at the way the video is done, it's really trying to sound professional, trying to grab at your heart, trying to look good, but really, there's nothing to it. There's nothing there. And I think this will continue. So be ready. Don't trust what they say publicly. As we've seen from interviews from former members recently, they lie. They're deceptive. They try to make themselves look like one thing when they're something else. So what they're doing as public proclamations, I wouldn't trust that. Watch what they're doing within their own teachings, within their own community, within their own bubble. I'm really hoping that things in our nation can change quite a bit. And I'm hoping one of those things can be false teachers like this can start being exposed better. That people can start turning back to the truth. That the many fake forms of Christianity that are here will start to be exposed for what they are. Homestead Heritage is one of them. Let's pray the truth keeps coming out. I'll see you guys next week. God bless.